Our mother was beginning to become verbally abusive to my brother and I.
You kids are such leeches. Can't you do anything for yourselves? Why must you be complete idiots?
Mom, stop it. Why are you being so mean?
Because I never wanted to have you crotch goblins.
Sadly, when she drank, she was only worse, and she began drinking more often as well. Our father would regularly catch her hitting one of us, and would threaten to call the police on her if she wouldn't stop.
That's enough. If you don't stop, I swear I'll call the police and have them haul you away.
You spineless idiot. You won't dare call the police on your wife.
The hell I won't. You just try me.
You know that they say that blood is thicker than water, but I have come to learn that the closest and best family is the one that you make. I think that once you hear my story, that you will agree though. It all began when I was 12 and my younger brother Tim was 10. Our parents were constantly bickering, and to make matters worse, our mother was beginning to become verbally abusive to my brother and I.
You kids are such leeches. Can't you do anything for yourselves? Why must you be complete idiots?
Mom, stop it. Why are you being so mean?
Because I never wanted to have you crotch goblins.
Sadly, when she drank, she was only worse, and she began drinking more often as well. Our father would regularly catch her hitting one of us, and would threaten to call the police on her if she wouldn't stop.
That's enough. If you don't stop, I swear I'll call the police and have them haul you away.
You spineless idiot. You won't dare call the police on your wife.
The hell I won't. You just try me.
Thankfully, our father didn't have to find out if his threat would work, as one day we all woke up and our mother was gone. She had snuck around the house in the middle of the night and took everything of value and had disappeared. As if that wasn't bad enough, she even emptied the joint bank account that she shared with our father. There had been tens of thousands of dollars in that account, and she took and ran off somewhere. The days after were very hard on our father. On the one hand, he was relieved, as our mother had been a terror not only to me and my brother, but to our father as well. While she was abusive to us, she was doubly so towards him, and he had the bruises and cuts to prove as much. Our father had to take out a large loan from the bank in order to help us get through the first few months after our mother left. He even received divorce papers in the mail from her at one point, solidifying the fact that she had no intentions of ever coming back home. Even though she was gone, the bills kept coming, in order to pay back the loan and to keep us afloat. Our grandmother moved in with us, and my brother and I couldn't have been happier. While our father would work as much overtime as he could, our grandmother would spend time with us. She would bake for us all the time and was extremely supportive of us. She would constantly tell us how much she loved us and how proud of our grades she was. It was the exact opposite of what living with our mother was like. For the next few years, our grandmother kept us company when our father was at work. We could tell that he was beginning to burn out, although he had nearly paid off the loan that he had taken out and had even saved up a sizable amount of money as well. But he still worked a ton of overtime and rarely had a day off. He was determined to make sure that he would be able to pay for school for my brother and I once we graduated from high school. However, one day, our grandmother became ill, and within a few weeks she passed away. It was so incredibly painful to lose her. Aside from our father, she was the only real positive influence that we had had in our lives, and losing her was almost too painful to bear. As a result, our father took less and less overtime, but by that point he had managed to become debt-free and had saved up more than enough to cover our schooling. He began to spend more time with us, and even had more free time for himself as well. It was a difficult year after our grandmother passed away, but we needed to keep on living, and we knew that she wouldn't want us to cry forever. One day, our father came home and told us that he had an announcement.
Hey guys, I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I met someone and I would really like for you to meet her. Her name is Camilla, and she is very important to me.
That's wonderful, Dad. If you really care about her, then we will too. Soon after that, we were introduced to Camilla and we hit it off immediately. There was just something about her that struck a chord with us. She was so nurturing and friendly and genuinely seemed eager to learn all about us. Both my brother and I could find no fault with her and were genuinely happy when our father announced that he would be marrying Camilla. They had a simple ceremony, and after that, Camilla moved in with us. However, at that time, I was getting ready to head off to school. I had been accepted into an architectural school and had even lined up a firm that had agreed to hire me on after I graduated. Things were beginning to look up. A couple years later, my brother was accepted into medical school and was planning on becoming a surgeon. Camilla and our father constantly would call us and tell us how proud they were of us, and going home on weekends was such a delight. Camilla would go all out and bake tons of delicious desserts for us, and make sure to cook our favorite meals as well. Going back to school was hard sometimes since home life was just as good as when our grandmother was around, if not even better since our father was around more too. Once I graduated, the firm that had promised me a job kept their word and assigned me to some simpler jobs. I worked under a few senior architects and learned a lot about designing fascinating, but also practical buildings, and it wasn't long before I proved myself worthy of bigger projects, one of which made it onto the local news since I had added a lot of really interesting artistic flares to the building. People loved the design, and it had become the talk of the town. Things just seemed like they were really going well for us, but then tragedy found a way to weasel its way back into our lives. Our father had a heart attack and needed to have open heart surgery. My brother was kicking himself for not being able to do the surgery himself, but we all told him that even if he had graduated by that time, that it was better off that he didn't, as there was no telling if our father would make it through the surgery. And sadly, he passed away during the operation. All those years of working so much overtime had taken their toll on him, and he passed away much too young. In his will, he left everything to Camilla, and both my brother and I were okay with that decision. After all, we were doing quite well on our own and didn't really need the money, but Camilla insisted on sharing it with us. It just further proved how good of a person she was and how much she truly cared for my brother and I. She had become our true mother, and we had pretty much forgotten our birth mother when suddenly I got a phone call from her.
Hey there, brat. Listen, I heard that your father finally passed away, and I just wanted to check in and see if there was any way you could share some of your inheritance with your dear old mother.
You can't be serious. You've ghosted us all these years, and when you had been around, you were terrible to us. Why would we give you anything at all?
Because I'm your mother. You owe me for giving birth to you.
I would never give you a single dime. You can rot in hell for all I care. I had thought that would be the end of it, but a few days later I got a call from Camilla saying that a strange woman was at her house threatening to break in. I instantly knew who it was that was harassing my stepmother, and I rushed over terrified about what my birth mother might do. When I arrived, I saw my birth mother pounding her fists on the front door of Camilla's house. I have no idea how she figured out where my father and Camilla had lived, but she did and was now demanding that Camilla come out and give her dead husband's money.
Get out here, you whore. I won't let you steal that money from me. It's rightfully mine.
What are you doing? Have you gone completely insane?
Stay out of this. This is between me and the homewrecker inside.
Homewrecker? You divorced my father and stole all of his money years before he met Camilla. What are you talking about? Just then, my mother's eyes went red and she slapped me so hard that I fell to the ground. She then stood over me and was about to start kicking me when the door behind her opened and Camilla came out. I had never seen Camilla angry before, but she was furious at my mother for having struck me. She rushed over and picked my mother up overhead and threw her to the ground. I have no idea how she had that much strength in her, but every time my mother tried to get up and rush at Camilla, she would grapple her again and throw her down. By the fifth time, my mother was winded and unable to get back up. It was then that I called the police and had then dragged my mother away. In the weeks that followed, we had the courts put a restraining order against my mother that made it so that if she came within 100 feet of either my brother or I or Camilla, that she would be arrested and put in prison. Thankfully, we didn't have to enforce it though, as not long after the police dragged her away, my brother heard from one of his colleagues at the hospital that our mother had been admitted. She was dying from liver failure and had needed the money to pay for a surgery that could have saved her life. Sadly, it was too late by then, and not long after she was admitted, she ended up dying a very painful and lonely death in the hospital. I wish I could say that had she asked for the money in order to have surgery that either my brother or I would have helped her, but honestly, I don't think that we would have. She had been so rotten and abusive to us, and we truly didn't want anything to do with her. The years when she was gone and out of our lives were the best we could have had, and when she came back into our lives, all she brought was anger and violence. To be honest, she wasn't my mother. She was only the woman that gave birth to me. Camilla, however, is my true mother, as she didn't hesitate at all to come to my defense, and unlike my birth mother, Camilla actually showed me love. So some people can say that blood is thicker than water, but I respectfully disagree. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.